know. I want to greet you. So I see Judith, and I see Ralph, and I see Gloria. Gloria, our support person who helps to answer questions as we go, allowing me to focus a little more on what's happening in the webinar. And so we're always glad to have Gloria. Stephen's on. Yes, I agree, Stephen. It's not my first choice in music, but I really, really like it for getting focused for the webinar. So thank you for that comment. I appreciate that, plus the fact that it allows me to be able to play that without having any concerns. So, yes, James, good to have you. Sam, good to see you this morning. Praveen, good to have you on today from Denmark. That's cool. And Judith said the sound is definitely working. Maybe that's because I'm too loud. If I'm too loud, let me know. Please let me know. I won't blow your ears out. But I do want to make this a good experience. I want to make it so that everybody can hear. I've noticed a couple of people who've been commenting that not on this webinar, but on other webinars and other places and platforms, that people are having a hard time hearing sometimes. And I don't want that to be your experience at all. I want everybody to be able to hear and see very well. Ken, good morning. Al, good morning from Chattanooga, Tennessee. And Christopher, good to have you this morning. And Carol from Corpus Christi, Texas. Beth from Mount Dora, Florida. Chris from Florida. That's your first time. Okay, cool. We're going to talk about first timers in just a minute. Chris, so thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate that. And we do want to greet you, and we'll give you just a little rundown as to how we do this, because when you come in, you're jumping in the middle of something. And so, but we definitely are glad that you're here and look forward to seeing you in the future. And then we have Renee from Germany, and we have Jan from Belgium, and Karina from Australia. What a wide crowd of people that we have. And I'm always glad when we see our Australian folks, because this is the middle of the night for you. And while I say good morning, I'm not trying to be offensive, but I'm really glad that you're on, because I know it's a huge commitment for you, and I always appreciate that commitment. And Stefan from Paris, and I think I saw you earlier, and I apologize, I did not see that once I started greeting people. And then Thomas from Washington State. Again, those people on the West Coast make a big commitment to be here as well. So always appreciate that. And then Bruce from Thailand, where it's also the middle of the night. And I have lots of friends in Thailand, and we speak frequently, and always have to juggle our schedules in order to do that, because it's either the middle of the night or for one or the other of us. So good to have you on this morning, Bruce. Okay, very good. Nice crowd of people, good friendly bunch today. So as we're looking at the screen here, Pete from London, good to have you as well. Pete's been a good contributor to our group. Usign is a global phenomenon. Maybe that would be kind of interesting. That would be kind of interesting if we could be a global phenomenon. I apologize, Bruce. That might have been me. It is full-blown allergy season in the South, and there are days when it affects me, and it's been affecting me a little bit today. So that might have a little bit to do with that. Hopefully you're having a better audio experience now, and we'll be a little careful to make sure that we don't get anything that might cause a problem here. Okay, so with that being said, unless there's someone else to introduce themselves, let's get started. We'll take a look at the agenda this morning. And as we begin on the agenda, notice that opening page. We have the question marks, the 3 Qs or the 3 question marks, to let Gloria know, and she always reminds us of this, to let Gloria know that that's a question, because we want to make sure that we catch your questions. We don't want to miss that. We want this to be a very interactive webinar, and so your questions are extremely important. We may not be able to answer them. We may not be able to answer them all. We can't answer. We don't try to answer support questions on this webinar. That's not beneficial. It's not helpful, and usually support is uniquely positioned for that particular individual. And so we try to keep those questions to a minimum. Actually, we have support questions are usually to a minimum. And but we want to make it a very, very good experience for everyone. Jim, good to have you on today from the UK. Always appreciate seeing Jim as well. Yes, and Gloria just posted the email address. If you have support questions, that's the place to address them. That way they can get the attention that they need. And John from Tennessee, we have quite a few people from Tennessee, just up the road from me. I'm in Huntsville, Alabama, and so we're pretty close by. And then we have AJ from Florida. So good crowd of people, good stuff going on. Kim coming from Tallahassee, Florida. Nice to see you all this morning. So we want to make this a very, very good experience for everyone. So make sure that your questions and your comments are positive and upbeat, and we will do our best to address those as we go, but make sure that you always precede those. Yes, that's y'all. I appreciate that. I'm trying to be international in my conversations is what I'm trying to do, and it doesn't always work that way, but I try. So good. All right. I will say something about the webinar replays in just a moment. Okay. We've discovered an issue, and so I'm going to address that issue this morning. We were going to have a guest feature today, and this is the only thing I know to say about the guest feature. We recorded that guest feature on Monday. For some reason, that file has been corrupted. We're noticing an issue here, and it's on two different platforms, and I don't know how to address that. We're looking into it. I spent about 3 hours on it last night. Still haven't been able to identify exactly how it's happening, but it has impacted the replays. And what happens is that when we get the replay is available in the webinar platform. I download that. I clip the front end off of it because we have some dead silence for about 12 to 15 minutes at the beginning. We want to make it a good experience for you, so I clip that first part off. I listen to it for about 5 minutes to make sure that the sound sounds good and that all of the interaction is taking place as it's supposed to, and then I compress it and I send it to YouTube. For some reason, which we cannot figure out, at about 38 minutes, it's overlapping and repeating the same thing. And so we put the webinar replays up, and then we have somebody who goes through them and creates an agenda from that. When that happens, when we create that's when we catch the mistake. For me to sit and listen to a webinar I just presented is an extra hour that really doesn't benefit. And we've always just been able to do that, boom, and it's done, and it's good. And then all of a sudden, at about 38 minutes, for some reason, we're getting this overlapping. And so we took the webinar replays down. We will try to see what we can do to repair that, see if that can be taken care of or not. And if not, we'll have to approach that in a different fashion. But very important that that you understand that we're aware of that. We're working on it. I'm not really sure what happened with the interview, but and it may very well be that the problem is on my end. It might be that because I just had a new upgrade to Camtasia, we started having the problem as soon as Camtasia upgraded. So I don't know what that is. No, the problem's not Zoom, and I don't really want to get into a discussion about software because that doesn't help, but we're trying to locate what the problem is and fix it, because it doesn't do any good to talk about the problem. We're just really trying to get the solution. Okay, so that's the reason why the replays are down right now, is because of that problem, and we will fix it. Replays will be up and everything will be good. But that's the issue that's going on right now. And I record all of the interviews on Zoom. So I don't know where the issue's at. So I'm using two completely different formats, actually three, and having a problem with all three of them right now. So at that point, it may very well just be Eric. And if so, I'll figure it out and we'll get it taken care of. So I apologize. Please stick with us and don't get upset about the lack of the replay. Don't be hard on we're just trying to fix it. I mean, we every week we try to do the best thing that we can for you. And if there's an issue, we'll take care of it. Christopher, that's a really, really good question. Will you be able to start your training from the beginning to catch up? That's if you can go through the replays and you can watch those. The other day, Gene Carey posted that he had taken a holiday afternoon and watched several of the replays. That's usually a good way to do that. We have someone going through trying to create an agenda for each one of those so that people will know, because because of the interactive nature of this, we answer some questions. We answer some questions that are not on the agenda. So that requires a little bit of additional attention, okay? Are you not getting try refreshing, Bruce? Try refreshing and see if that helps. I don't want you to have an issue, but try just refreshing your browser. Sometimes that helps. Okay. Thank you. All right. We'll figure out what's going on with that. We'll get the guest feature back in. I apologize, but it seemed like this has been a week of colossal fail. And I had 98 gigabytes of video that I had to deal with this week, and had the problem doing this one. So I apologize for that. All right. Let's get on with, we have a number of things. Very good, Jan. Glad to hear that. Jan says, I actually saw all the replays from the beginning of March until now, 2 weeks, and it really helped a lot. So that's very good. Thank you for that. Good. I appreciate that. Now let's talk a little bit about what's going on. Gene posted a really, really cool example of using an overlay. We talked about the overlays several times now. He was involved in the one of the webinars, excuse me, one of the interviews that we did was with Gene Carey when he showed how to use the overlays, and we've given you several examples of how to use overlays. Great idea. This is a great example of that and how he got more viewership as a result of it. So it's pretty cool. The next thing that I want to talk about is this webinar itself, and I brought this up because we have a lot of new people who come into the community. They're new users, whatever. This kind of comment, and it's not because it's about me, but this kind of comment really helps those new people to get in. And we have some new people on this call who are here for the very first time. And so we want to make sure that that we spread the word to the people who are new. It's really a good idea to spread the word to the people who are new so that they'll know about the webinars, because we cover a different topic every week. Sometimes those topics overlap a little bit. Sometimes they're involved in the things that are going on in the community, but make sure you keep people informed about the webinars, okay? And this is a great way to do that. And so I always appreciate Joy's comments. The next one is that we have a new fan page. And this fan page is for those who are using GIFZine. And it's brand new. Rose posted this last night in the GIFZine group, in the GIFZiners group, which is a group. And then this is a fan page where a whole bunch of stuff will be shared. Just different GIFs can be put in there. It'll be kind of a fun community. So want to make sure that you go and like that page. Okay. If you haven't seen that, please go and like that page, and that will be helpful. Maybe Gloria will be able to get a link for you in just a moment. Okay. The next thing is I want to give you a little update on GIFZine. I'll show you this here for just a second. And this is a way to use GIFZine and Uzine together. And so just wanted to remind you. Okay, the question is, does GIFZine come with Uzine? The answer is no. They're two very complementary products from the same company, but they do not come together in the same bundle. They're two separate platforms. Last week, we talked about GIFZine and using it with WordPress, and I was going to, and what happened was that replay was missing. I found the replay, I redid the replay, and then that got the silly overlap thing. And so it's not up. So I will talk about using GIFZine on other platforms today, because I think it's a pretty cool opportunity for you to be able to do that. By the way, take a look at this and tell me where you think those chat bubbles came from. Okay, little video that I play that I captured as a GIF, and those chat bubbles came from Uzine. So we'll talk about how we put all of those pieces together and do some really cool stuff with it. Okay. The next thing is I want to share with you some images, some GIF sign images, some things that you can do with GIF sign that perhaps you're not doing. And these are just cool little illustrations of things that can be done with GIF sign. And so we like to talk about that just a little bit. I said last week we would take a little bit more time. Good question, David. Okay, let's back up just a minute because I've got a couple of questions that are going on right here. Kim's asking how many people here have GIF sign. I don't. Lots of people in this group that are on this webinar will have GIF sign. What I want you to see is how we're using them together, and that's going to be kind of the focus today, is how we're using those together. And then David asked the question about Usign doing everything that Photoshop does. Usign does things different than Photoshop does. Usign was intended to be simple. And the intention was, let's keep this as simple as possible. I have a personal mantra that says that simple makes awesome easy. And so if you keep things very simple, it is easier for you to be able to grasp that and move forward. And I know people who were Photoshop experts who have decided this is just faster and easier. And they like it better. And one of the interviews that we were going to do actually had a person who will tell you exactly the same thing. So looking to see if there's any other questions there. Okay, cool. All right, these were all done in GIF or done in Usign, and then came back to GIF sign, and we implemented those. So I'll show you how we did that in just a little bit. Then my new focus that we're going to do for the next few weeks is called templateology, and templateology is simply taking a look at the wealth of information that is available to you simply in the templates. Our team does a great job of creating templates, but sometimes hidden in those templates are some real gold nuggets that make it worth every single dime that you would ever invest just to be able to have the information that they make available here. So I'm going to highlight one of those today, and because I think that it's important. I don't want you to miss what is available to you simply because you're like, well, I don't need the templates. You need the stuff that comes in the template club, and that is the training that's available, that's there if you'll take advantage of it. And here's an example of that. This is a oh, Michael, that's an easy one. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. You're actually not able to view all of your layers like you can in Photoshop. All right, but when we get to the platform, to the canvas, I'll do my best to try to answer that question. So Gloria, do not let me forget that. I don't want to miss that. So here, as a this is a great infographic, gives you lots of information about how to grow your skills as a graphic designer. And I found this to be a gold mine. And I'm constantly reminding you, and here we are in this conversation about comparing Usign to Photoshop, and it reminds me again of this conversation. Stick with me as I tell this little story. When I was growing up, my daddy was a framing carpenter. And he used a 24-ounce hammer with a 24-inch long handle, which was like a backhoe bucket. And he could do amazing things with it. And one day, I was just getting big enough to be able to swing that thing. And he said, "You're not going to use this. I'm going to give you a frame. I'm going to give you a finished carpenter's hammer. I want you to learn how to use it. Master the tool, and you become invaluable. Master the tool, and people will pay you for what you can do." And so when you master the Usign tool, it's amazing what can happen. And inside of the templates, you'll have some keys to help you to master those tools. Okay? Let's see. It looks like Gloria just dropped out of the webinar. So if you ask a specific question, I may have to make sure that you proceed it with 3 question marks or 3 capital Q's. That way I can catch it until Gloria gets back on. Okay? So inside of your template club, you have tremendous wealth of information that can be extremely helpful to you. All right. Do you understand what we're doing with that? I'm going to show you some other really cool stuff on that template soon. Where do I find this infographics designer? That's a really good question. That is a template that's available when you're a member of the template club. Usign comes complete, but we also are constantly building a template library. And I'll show you that template library when we go to the design canvas. But that's where you'll find it. It's under infographics. And there is a wealth of information under the infographics in the template club. So I will show you that when we get to that, Christopher. It's a good question. We're going to talk about layouts a little bit today, just a little bit. I'm going to focus on product today. We'll talk about product cover layouts and what to do with product covers and how to use those in other parts of your marketing. We'll talk about the most underused editing tool that we have. I get this question all the time. It gets asked in the group all the time. I get asked individually. People will send me a personal note and say, Eric, I'm having a problem with this. I can't grab a hold of this little image because it's too tiny. And I said, did you increase the size of your image? No, I forgot all about that. So I'll show you where that's at, show you how it works, show you how to use it. I know that seems pretty elementary to some of you, but a whole bunch of people are missing it often. So I want to make sure that we get you the information so you can not have that frustration anymore. Okay? That sound like a good idea? I try to eliminate frustration. That's the purpose of this webinar, is to eliminate frustration. So the last thing is, every single time I finish a webinar, somebody says, can you demonstrate the background removal tool? So I'm going to demonstrate the background removal tool if I have time today. Okay? All right, looks like Gloria's back in. Gloria, if you are in, just drop a note in the chat session so that I can see that you are here. Okay? So we'll talk about the background removal tool. And then any other tips and tricks that come up, and then we'll do our best to try to answer your questions as we go. All right, let's see. It looks like Gloria just got booted out again. I'm not sure. She's having internet connection issues, so that may be the problem with that. Yes, I agree, Jan. And one of the greatest tools that we have that puts this platform, I think, head and shoulders above everybody else is that background removal tool. Being able to use that background removal tool is much better than the lasso tool that is under that other no-named product. And every once in a while, somebody will say, well, I prefer this over Usign, or I prefer this over Usign. And I say, fine. If you want to do 5 minutes apiece, I will be glad to share with you why you might want to choose Usign over everyone else. And I'm just convinced of that. I'm convinced that that's going to be in everybody's best interest. So I appreciate that, Jan. That I really do think that the background removal tool is just awesome. A couple of weeks ago, Rose posted in the group a blog post about the background removal tool. And it was 4 things that we frequently forget that we can do with the background removal tool. It's amazing. It's amazing. Best stuff I've read in a long time. Reminded me of some things that I needed to remember as well. So with all of that being said, let's move over to the next part of the webinar. So I'm going to share a different screen. So hang on with me for just a second while I bring this other screen up. No matter what, this is always a slightly awkward experience. Hold on. I've got the wrong screen up. There we go. Karina, excellent question. How good is it around hair? I will put this, I will put our background removal tool head and shoulders above everyone else's background removal tool when it comes to hair. Okay, and I'll do my best to take a look at that before we get finished with today's webinar. May have to accelerate some things just so we can do that. Do y'all think it would be a good idea to spend some time on the background removal tool just because I think it needs to be done? Okay. Tell me if you think it would be a good idea. I just think that we've not spent any time on it for a while, so it might be a good time to do that again. Okay, I want to show you just a couple of things. We're going to do this with on the platform here. So in the absence of Gloria, I'm going to have to do a little bit better job of staying caught up with what's happening here. So yep, it looks like her internet connection has shut down. So stick with me. I'll try to get my questions over here. John, great question, but I think we just lost Gloria. So I will make sure that you have the information about the Template Club. Please do this. Do not shut the webinar off at the end, and I will grab that link and I will see if I can drop that not in the chat session, but I'll send it to you privately so that you'll have it. Yeah, Kim, it's in the group. I'll see if I can find it as soon as I close the webinar. Okay, I'll do my best to put those two things in. Make sure that y'all at least leave your browser open with the webinar in it until I get a chance to put those things up, and then you can grab that. Okay. All right. Now, I want to show you. This is the image that I had before. Somebody asked last week, well, why would you use a GIF design or why would you use a GIF in your web pages? Well, here's the reason. Look at this one right here. This is just a video that I had. Well, if I had a video, I'd have to have a player. If I had a video, I would have to have all kinds of things that I would need to do in order to make that video work. And then I would have to turn it on, turn it off, or either that or load it up to YouTube, get it to autoplay, and not all platforms will play autoplay. So, but if I use it as a GIF, it just does what you see it doing right here. And that is take our survey right here, and then you have a survey button below that. Does that make sense? This is a great tool if you want to get attention without having to put a player on your website. And then just playing it as a GIF is an amazing way to do that because GIFs are designed to get people's attention. Here's one that just plays as a demonstration of a product. Okay. Very simple, just easy things to do. Now, this was on a page builder platform. And so I took the page builder and I just grabbed these as images. I grabbed them as images, dropped them into the image library on the page builder. Do we have no sound? Can anybody else hear? Vernon just said that he lost sound. So I'm trying to make sure everybody else says they hear me. Okay, hit the refresh button. Somebody tell him to hit the refresh button. That would help, okay? Thank you so much. I appreciate your help with that. But these are just great little ways to use a GIF inside of a landing page, a web page, whatever. But you just use them as images. You grab them as an image. You don't need a player. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to create an embed code or anything else in order to make that work. Very good. Thank you, Judith. I appreciate that. Then what I did was I have this example over here of them inside of a WordPress site. And these are GIFs that have been dropped inside of a WordPress site. Now, you can imagine how beneficial this would be if you want people to give you comments. Would that be helpful? Tell me if you think that that's the kind of thing that you might be able to use a GIF for. And again, this is what I've done here is I've simply taken these chat bubbles and dropped them into the video, took the video, uploaded into GIFsign, made the video in a video creator, dropped this into GIFsign, and then it just plays continuously. I mean, I just think this is a great way to be able to use that. And all you have to do, and you don't have to do any coding or anything else. I mean, this is what the code looks like. But this, I just grab those under Add Media, go up here, and I got my GIFs right here. I grab the media, I select one of those, and I drop it in. And when you upload the file, you upload it as an image, and it works really, really well. Okay, so you can see what happens when you do that. They are not intended to be smooth. They're not intended to play as a video. They're intended to play as a GIF. And so there's always going to be a little bit of there's going to be that typical GIF look to it. But good question, Karina. Very good question. Okay. Remember, they're a GIF. They're not a video. And but the good thing is we don't have to have a player in order to play them. So they just run as an image from my media file, which I think is great. It is a great way to be able to create that. Okay. Any questions so far before I get out of the conversation about GIF sign? And I will pause for a moment and give you all a chance to ask questions here. And while I do that, I'll try to get a note. Took me a few weeks to get used to having Gloria on and being able to utilize her. It may take me a lifetime to get used to her not being on anymore. So I need links to, and I want to make sure I have this. I need the links to the template club and to, I believe it was the group. Was that correct? I think it was the group. So whoever asked that question, please ask it again so I can make sure that I have links for you. Okay. All right. With that being said, let's get over to the Usign canvas because that's really where we want to kind of park today. Okay. Oh, it was about GIF sign. That's right. All right, I will get those. I will do my best to get those links as quickly as we get finished with the webinar today. So, okay, now let's do this. Get this slid over here as far as I can so I can kind of see the questions out of one eye. All right, somebody's saying that there's a little static on the call. Again, just try refreshing if you're having static issues. That should clear that up. Okay. So back to the Usign platform. Let's go to the templates first, and I want to show you about the template club because the questions come up frequently about the template club. Let's see. Gotcha. Okay. Over here on the template club, if you'll notice right now, we have 3,136 templates in the template club. And if you'll look here, you'll notice that the templates, our template team does a great job of being very timely in the templates. They're good about things that are going on in the world. They're really good about things that are going on as far as holidays are concerned, both in the United States and around the world. And so they make a ton of these templates available to us, which I think is just amazing. Just an amazing thing. And again, they do a great job. I also believe that the templates require very, very little modification in order to make them work and make them work really, really well. Okay. All right. I'm just trying, I have to click back and forth in order to see the questions. So I'll be a little slower than I intend to. But you can see like just things like this. I thought this was a great template the other day about cash rebuilds, clothes do not. People are quick to donate clothes, but really cash is sometimes the thing that's needed. So I think our team is really on top of things, and they do a great job of providing us with the tools that we can use to providing us with the tools that you can use to help you to grow a design business, help you to market to other businesses, be able to market your services, and be helpful to other people. And so I think this is a really good opportunity to do that. Christopher is asking a question about the resolution of the templates and the art inside of Usign. Yeah, the answer is yes, they are high res. Okay, a couple of things while we're on the right here at this point. These are high res images. All right, they're higher resolution images than you're going to typically see. They were not they were large. Our background images are incredibly large and high resolution. Okay, and then all of the vector images here, like the text and those things, are all high resolution. So, and then you can save them. Let me switch over to the other screen here. You can save them right here. This is actually designed for the web at 72 DPI, but you can change it to 300 DPI. Okay, so you can save an image at 300 DPI and give you a very, very high res image. But 72 plays really, really well. 150 plays really well on the web. 150 is going to be required for some things. 300, if you're looking for print quality, that's what you're looking for. Interesting conversation the other day. Somebody said 300 wasn't enough, and I can tell you that for National Geographic, 240 was their standard, and there was never anything had higher quality graphics than National Geographic had. And so I consider that to be a good high res. We're right there playing with the big players in the industry. So the answer to your question is yes. Now, some people have complained that they're too small. The answer is yes. When you're doing images for the web, 72 is going to load faster. It's going to load cleaner, and it's going to be fine when you're seeing that image on the web. So keep that in mind. Everything else you can save 150 or 300, and you will have all of the quality that you need. Okay, but you simply do that at the custom size at 300 DPI. I'll show you one little thing that you'll notice here. If you go down to prints and you go to Teespring, and you click on the transparent background, do you see the size of the dots in that transparent background? Christopher, I'm not exactly sure how you're the question that you're asking with HTML5. I do some creation in HTML5, but I'm not really sure what you're asking there. And that may be something that you need to send a support ticket and ask that question at support. Okay. But if you'll notice the size of the if it's playing on the web, Christopher, the answer is yes. If you notice the size of the dots here, and what that is it's reminding you that this is a very, very high res. This is saved at 300 DPI, as opposed to when you just go to a Twitter cover and you do that and you see the difference in the size of the dots. That's a good reminder for me that we're in that 300 DPI range, okay? David, you've just lost me in that conversation. So I use the images from Usign in my HTML5 file all the time. So, all right, let's get back to where we're at here. I wanted to. I'm looking carefully at the time. We run the risk of running out of time. So let's quickly talk about product covers. I'm going to grab a template from. The other thing I wanted to do before we left here was I wanted to show you. If you go to infographics, grab the template from the infographics, and that's where you will find what I showed you earlier. All right. We're not going to go through that, but I do want you to see that that's where it's at. All right. This is where you find that information. Many of these infographics are just a wealth of information. Some of them just have, text that's dropped in, but many of them have just a wealth of information inside of them. And so, Kim, we've talked about Teespring a lot. I've showed how to design the tees. I've talked about how you can see the images, all of that kind of stuff. And short of just doing a separate webinar on Teespring, not as much that we can do with that. Okay. I mean, I'm glad that you want to do that. I think that's cool, but take a look at this. The Teespring designs are really, really easy, and we have them already set up here. You click on this. I want to use this design. Brings this up. It's already in a transparent background. Already in a transparent background. It's already at 300 DPI. You can click on here. You can view that shirt. You can take a look at that. I actually created a series of these in different color backgrounds and made a GIF out of those last week right after the webinar and dropped those in. These are Teespring colors, by the way. And then I dropped that into the, so you'll get a chance to see what they look like in all the Teespring colors. Pretty simple stuff. It really is. Now, you don't download this. If you download this, what you're going to have is this t-shirt image. What you want to download for Teespring is you want to download the ping file so that you have a transparent background. Okay? Okay, I want to comment on Susanna's comment here. There are so many things in Udesign that people don't know that they have, and then they run out and they buy something else rather than master the tool. And that's such a common issue. That's so common. And that's the reason why we do this every single Friday, is to try to give you some piece that you go, oh, I forgot that. I just forgot that. Just like this little piece right here, people forget that this is here. Okay, I can blow this up so I can see this. Now, I have saved over here a group that by itself is really hard to do anything with. Can you see this right here? That is a little tiny group. I can blow it up, but if I want to grab one of those people by themselves and move them around, I'm going to ungroup this so you can see it. But if I want to grab one of those or three of those people, move them out, there's just impossible for me to get a hold of that. So that's a common question. Just simply grab this, blow this up, come down here. Now I can get a hold of this person. I can move them around. I think we forget that we have that capability right there. And the alignment lines are just perfect for that. Okay? So yeah, that's another one of those things that we forget. Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate that. Yes, thank you very much. Yes. Thank you for filling in for Gloria while her internet is down. But just this little tool right here, sometimes we forget that we have that. And so if you run into frustration trying to get a hold of something that's too small, just simply blow it up. And then if you'll notice right here, you have a little red box, and you can position that red box over the top of what you want to work on. Okay? Just a reminder of a little editing tool that is frequently forgotten. And then there's the club, the template club issue. So thank you guys. This is why I love this group. Y'all are so good. You're good to each other, and you're good, and I appreciate it, and it's just wonderful. So thank you very much. Another often forgotten tool is if you will hold down the shift key, position your arrow outside of the images, and simply drag across them like that. I've now grouped them all together, and I can delete them as a whole. All right. Another thing that frequently gets forgotten, and people will try to go in and erase those one at a time, just simply hold down the shift key and pull your mouse across the images that you want to delete, and away they go. Now, I've saved this. This is my daughter's little thing that I made a t-shirt for my daughter. My daughter's a professional photographer, and so we did this right here, and you can see while we're on the Teespring design here how that looks. And I can put this up here like this. Okay? Anything else before we jump in here to the background tool? Because I'm going to get the background tool before we get out of here today. Let me get rid of this. Let me go over here to product design because I would rather do that than product cover today. Okay. So let me go over here and I'm just going to grab an image. I'm going to grab this little girl right here and I want to remove the background. I hit on the erase background tool. This is the one I had up earlier. Okay. Yes, the Teesprings are under print. A lot of people get lost; they can't find it. It's under prints because remember, it's a print, and so that's where you will find it. Is it's in the layout bar under prints, and then you click on prints, and you scroll down, and you'll find the Teespring T-shirt designs. All right, we have this cute little girl, and we want to remove the background. And so let's play with the background removal tool for a minute. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to highlight the area that I want to keep. I want to keep all of this. And so I'm not going to have too much of a problem because there's a decent contrast between the background and the image. So let's check it out and see how close we get. And then we'll notice that we have a little issue right here with the hair. So you have to decide, do I want to keep that? Do I want to get rid of it? Do I like this little flip on the back end of the hair over here? Well, it gets a little tedious at that point, but you can do it. And so first thing, I don't like that little divot in her head, and I'm not really sure why that's there. I know she doesn't have a divot in her head, but it's there. Let me make my screen a little different size here so that I can see your questions as we go. I promise you it's easier than in Paint Shop Pro, but we've already done this. Okay. So if I wanted to, grab that little flipped curl right there, I think it's important to do. I've got a couple of options. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure how come she has that, but it's still kind of cute. So I like this little flipped curl right here. Now, by the way, this is on a transparent background. If I want to see what this looks like, I can flip this over here to a solid background. I'm gonna have to get a contrast here. And now I see that I've got some editing issues. Can you see the editing issues? And those editing issues, I need to be able to deal with. I don't want to save it that way because my purpose was to remove the background, but it really makes things show up when I do it this way. I'll switch back to the transparent background. And if I want to grab that little divot right there, I got a couple of options, and I'm not going to be able to show you great detail the hair tool today. I'm going to show you the first one. The first one is I go back to my save tool, and I change my brush size. That's the first thing I can do. Change my brush size here so that I can keep this little curl that's here. And the problem is I'm having a little issue getting on the right spot. So let's undo that. And you can see that we're starting to save part of that hair. The problem is that the resolution is going to be bad because it's really fine and fuzzy. But you can do that with the hair removal tool. You can also, we're going to run out of time to do this, but you can also take your hair removal tool here and you can start picking colors. Okay. And when I pick this color, I pick that color, I pick that color, and then I start to pick the colors. Now, in the background, I pick the colors in the background. And I do that. Got an instruction tab right here. Okay. So now, how am I doing here? I have to decide. We've got an issue here with this little piece of hair, um, in that I lose the resolution when I do that. So I had hoped that this would be a good image to do it with, but let's go back here to the brush. Yeah, absolutely, Christopher, absolutely. This is probably the thing that I get asked to do the most. People will say, I've got this great image, I just hate the background. I've got this great image, I just hate the background. And so you have the ability to be able to remove that background. And but when you do that, let me scroll this back out here so you can see. I'm trying to see your comments, and it gets a little bit complicated here. So your comments, I can actually save that now, like this. Her hair in the background are too close to the same color. Now, I have her right here. I can grab an integration. I can put that kind of a background on it, move that to the background. And there you go. Now, the hair doesn't get lost in this busier background, and we don't have any issue with that. What I like about this is that you don't end up with that little fine white layer around the outside of it. I don't like the halo look, and I see a lot of that on the internet. It comes from those other nameless platforms that will remain nameless, but they have a tendency to not be able to crop as close as we can crop with this. So let me show you one more, because here's an example as well of files that have been uploaded. Okay. This image right here, I don't even have any idea what Pixel logo is. Again, I use what I've got, and it works really well. These were two images. This is a conference that I'm doing with my partner Tom, and so we needed to have an image. We thought we'd both have images with sunglasses on top of our head for whatever reason, I'm not sure, but that seemed like the appropriate thing to do at the time. So we have this image right here, and I simply removed the background from his image, removed the background from mine, dropped it on here, and made it work. So those were images that we had loaded up, and I think you'll see those images down here someplace on this side. Yeah, that was the image that was actually cropped from this. So this image right here became this image right here. Again, that was the question earlier, was can we do that with images that are outside the system? And the answer is yes. All right, any other questions? What am I forgetting before we cut out? Because I don't know the answer to the Pixel logo. I have no idea. I really don't even know what that is. So I can't help you with that. Anything else? It's got very, very quiet. Karina, I agree with you. It is certainly easier. I used to do this in Photoshop, and it would drive me crazy. And then the images, yes, are saved as a ping file. When I had that image that was up here, when I removed the background from that background removal tool, once the background is gone, and I've saved it with the transparent image here, and I click this, then I can save that as a ping file right here. Okay. I agree, Teresa. It is the number one thing, because it takes a marginally useful image and makes it incredibly useful. If you save a PNG file as a JPEG file, you will not have a transparent background. But the answer is yes. We have three options. You can save it as a PNG file, you can save it as a JPEG, or you can save it as a PDF. All right. I will just simply walk through these steps one more time just to show you, because this is the image that I actually took for the webinar that Tom and I were going to do, or the seminar Tom and I were going to do together. And I took the background here. I saved this image for Tom. The thing that got a little complicated is, if you'll notice, the back of this bus seat over here has the same colors and the same lines as his shirt does. But I wanted to get him without his lovely wife, because I can find something I can make fun of him about being his wife being prettier than him, but we'll not do that. But I can start removing as much of this as I can. I can take her out of the image. This is where your background removal tool becomes really, really helpful and really handy. And without a lot of time and attention to that, are you seeing what I'm doing here? I'm doing this because Kim asked me to do another background removal tool demonstration, so here we go. And now I'm in the process of excluding her from the image. And I would grab my cut tool right here, and I would clean that up right there. And that's a little bit too smooth for a piece of clothing, so I'm going to move that up just a little bit. See what happens there. Grab this, do the same thing here. Pull that out, make that look like a rounded shirt. That's a little too far in. There we go. It takes forever in every other tool I've ever used. Okay? And yes, when I'm finished, when I hit done right here, because I've got it on a transparent background, when I hit done right here, as it finishes loading, it's saving that as a ping file. Our platform was originally designed to save images as ping files. And so that's just built into what we do. All right. So there, with the exception of a little bit of cleanup that I would do to this and make his head look round. Loading is just part of it is I'm using resources to do the webinar. Okay. That's part of it. But part of it is, this is a pretty complex tool. Okay. And we get so instantaneous in our society that we expect it to be done right now. And it takes a little while sometimes. And like I said, it is a pretty powerful tool. So it takes a little while for a powerful tool to churn and do what it needs to do. Now I can save this as a ping file, or I can click on the image and I can crop it. Another tool that we forget that we have, and that is this little crop tool. So I can grab this crop tool, and I can save this like this. And I've got my crop tool marked so that it saves. I marked this so it saves it to the library. Do you see that? And now when I've saved this in the library, it takes a little bit for it to load because it's saving it in the library. Yeah, I had to move this over so I could see your comments. I apologize for that, but you see what I'm talking about here. All right, now. And I've saved that in the library, and there is that image. See? And I've saved that as a ping file inside of my system, and then I can download it as a ping file as well. Okay? If you just remember this, David, if you save it as a JPEG file, the background will not be transparent. The only way you can have a transparent background is you have to save it as a ping file. But I could put that, I can drop this, I could easily drop this image right here on a colored background, on a pattern background, on an image background, all the things, all the tools that we have. Put this on here like that. I can save it as a JPEG file. Does that make sense? If I want the background to be transparent, I want to save it as a ping file. That way, it remains transparent. If I want to use it with an image on it, and I don't need to have it as a transparent background, then I can save it as a JPEG. Okay. Anything else? I believe we're up against the end of the hour, but I believe that the questions got answered. I think the links were put in, and hopefully that you got those. The answer, yes, Christopher, you can always save them in a Mac. See that question there. Not sure what the question is, modify PDF. The reason why you have a PDF option is because if I want to give this to a client, I'm going to save it for no, I don't have time for the layer visibility because, again, the layers, I'll show you, we'll quickly do this. Quickly do this, all right? This is my top layer. My layer tool is right here. I can move that to the back. I can't send it backwards because this is my background. I forgot I saved that as a background. But this is where my layer tools are at. But I don't have that complex layer thing that you get with Photoshop. So if I want to export this and give it to a client, I want to export it as a PDF because that way they can't jack around with it. Nope, you can't modify the PDF in Usign. Usign only uses the tools that are inside of it. You cannot import a PDF file and do it inside of Usign. You can do what I do, and that is take a screenshot of it, and then you can modify the screenshot. Okay? All right, folks, I really appreciate your time today. This has been a great time together. I apologize for losing Gloria in the conversation. Her internet went out. The only way, the answer is yes. I can save that. David's question is, but can you use a JPEG and modify it to a PNG? Yeah, absolutely. I could have imported a JPEG file into the background removal tool, removed the background, saved it as a PNG file, and I would have a transparent background. Okay? Yes. Thank you all for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. We'll be back here next week, same time, same place. Just exactly like always, we're going to fix whatever's going on with the webinar and try to get that taken care of so that the replays are available. And if we're missing something, I'll make sure that gets taken care of. Okay. I will go through the questions, make sure that I've answered everybody's questions when I get off the webinar. And it looks like the 2 links that were supposed to go up, people took care of that for me. And I really appreciate you doing that while we were going. Okay. Susanna, I will say one thing and then I'm out. And that is that the replays are always more valuable. I'm sorry, that the live webinars are always more valuable than the replay. Always.